Hello folks of the internet, it is I, Risky Business, and today what is on my mind? Well, Wonderdraft's on my mind. So, as you may have gauged already from a lot of my content, or at least one of my videos, that I'm a tabletop roleplay gamer, and one of the things I like to look for is authenticity and the ability to just make them better. Now, Wonderdraft is an application and a one-off purchase that you can make, similar to things along the lines of Incarnate and MapTool, if you ever actually got to use them in the past. And it basically allows you to create custom maps. Now, as you can see here from the Wonderdraft website themselves, they got a template map just in the background teasing you into what you can possibly do, and I can confirm it is something that you can do with this map because I will be giving a little bit of a product demonstration later. Obviously, if you want to check out the website, it is wonderdraft.net, as in the top right, and the link will be in the description below so you can have a look at this product. Now, they do have a trailer as well, if you really feel interested in just having a look at someone generate maps and explain how it can be used in that basis. Now, there's a list of features in there. I will get into some of them as well, but here it is just for a few seconds whilst it's on screen, whilst I'm scrolling down the app, just to show you what you can do. For instance, map dimensions from 512 pixels up to 8,192 pixels. The map sizes can be extremely large, and there are ways to make them smaller as well, and set them into regional aspects. Obviously, you've got a bare minimum of requirements that your system will need. I haven't had many issues, but then again, my PC is probably on the unadulterated level and beyond because it is a semi-gaming PC, and they also have an explanation about what you can do with additional art packs and building packs. Now, I will get into the assets aspect of this as well further down the line because the amount of assets you can get for this community is insane, and it is something that I would like you to have a look. If you definitely are interested, I will put the link to the description below as well, to the cartography website where I've sourced a lot of my assets from here and some really quick and easy tools to get into it. So without further ado, I am going to get onto the application itself and create a basic template map and just go ahead with it. So this is Wonderdraft, as you can see, in version 1.1.3, which is the current up-to-date version that I'm looking into at the moment. It's quite basic, as you can see. There is nothing on there at the moment, and just to explain the features of it, we're going to go through a basic generation of a map. So first of all, we would go on to the new settings, click world map size. Now, there are templates available for sort of like HD at 720p, all the way going up to A6 files, US letter, etc. And for this one, we're just going to do a basic full HD 1080p sort of file size for for this in question. Now, themes are sort of what the general layout and what textures you like to use. Now, this generally can be changed in the middle of the map as well, so it is not a sort of hard and fast thing you can set to. And for the moment, I am going to go with the adventure theme, and we'll see it now. So it will take some small amount of time to generate. Obviously, with myself, there are custom packs available, which means that when I come around to describing what assets are eventually, I'll explain where these come from. So we now have a world. In effect, this is the basic template that you get, and now you do have the ability to, with the what is called the landmass wizard, just to initially go through, if you kind of want to do this freeform or you just kind of want to get a general chaotic mess, you can use what is called the landmass wizard. Now, with Landmass Wizard, you can simply just generate a world. Now, this would be more, I would consider this more akin to a region. You can use it as a world itself. But as you can see, there is, in effect, a new landmass and a new world that you can create. Now, going from this, you can obviously clearly see the levels of coastline down by here with the S of X for the coastlines as well. You can obviously edit the water level, showing that like this is like no water, going up to around maybe 20-30%. You see it like slowly creeping on. If you do more, it creeps less. But we'll keep it around by here because at 0.5 water level, and you can obviously do details as well, which doesn't really factor in, I believe, until after you've done this. Now you can also do uniform patterns, meaning that if I were to generate atolls, for instance, instead, we would get an atoll-shaped island. If we were to do a world, we would then get a world shape instead. Archipelago, same difference, and you would get differing types of world or map that you wanted for the sort of specific thing you were looking for. Now, moving on from this, we do have water options as well, which will probably be better to show if we have a better landmass. So silly little me will go on to a continent style generation, and we will look at some of the water tools. Now, first of all, you do just have the ability to just randomize the water levels, what the saturation is, because obviously this is, you can make the intention of either making a in-game looking character map where it could be completely blank. You could go for a completely detailed world map in the way that it's colored. You could do an exquisite map that's colored, etc. And the water options do help you out on that basis. So going through the options for water, you've got things like this, which is called the water appearance. You've got river map tools, lake tools, which effectively just slap a randomized chunk of water down where you want to, and then the river tool effectively you can use in this basis as well to make rivers between places that you want. So, and you've then got a actual water. I believe this then, the freshwater brush, is sort of free roaming. So if you just wanted to make a river or lake like such, you could do so rather than the preset lake tool. Or you could make smaller rivers, because obviously nearly every aspect of this is customizable in terms of the roughness of the paint and the brush size itself. Now you've got specific options for simply erasing the tool, and this is the same again with how the maps are. It will only erase the fresh water in this basis, and then you've got other aspects as well, including adding windroses, which is a really neat idea for if you want to do sort of a sailor's sort of game. I haven't mastered the windrose tool myself, so I am not going to say if this looks decent or not, but it is a good representation of what you can do. I'll get rid of the windroses for now because they are a bit disorientating to have too many of them. Now, obviously, pathways. It's a very interesting process what you can do with paths. You've got several or many different sizes which you can get further through the assets, which I'll explain towards the end of the video. Now, if you would just do a simple pathway, you could say do it from by here without clicking the left click, which will end it, all the way up to say by there. And then you've got like a simple pathway up there. There isn't really that different. You obviously got certain options about changing the colors, etc., which help you make borders, political borders, or just general ensuring that the map itself or the path itself is in layout. But then you go to things on the lines of symbols. Symbols are the mixtures of bridges, like you can see on the shadow silhouette here. They go from cliff faces, so that you could say have a cliff by there instead, obviously depending on what you want. And some of the things, such as these, you get to have compass roses. This is just the general line of things here. Now, if you were to go to say you wanted a city down by here and then a town at the end of this map, you can edit the sizes as such. You then be able to go on that basis further. And you do get a large pre-selection of assets with Wonderdraft, meaning that you would be able to comfortably make a map by yourself without having to go out and get additional assets, which a lot of them are free from the community themselves. This obviously includes options then for, well, trees, which you get a nice, you can obviously get a forested area by there if you really wish to. There are some better looking trees than these ones. Scale, placement, and rate and density means that you can alter the frequency. If you're just going to go across a map template or try and do a forest, you can put the density up and placement up to max, and you just continuously plunder the map with trees. You've then got the options to put, say, some happy little mountains in there, which are obviously the various different styles as well. I personally prefer the right style of mountains to the left style. As you can clearly see, these are slightly more cartoonish, whilst these are more in character and detailed. And obviously then you've got the ability to just simply erase them if you wish and get rid of them. So say for instance get rid of them because that cliff didn't really fit in there, and go forward on that basis. Regions, I'm not too familiar with the region tool. Just as a quick go through, it does generally require you to sort of go around them the general area that you want, which means that you have to be fairly, if you're really pedantic like myself, you have to generally go like this. Now, I haven't specifically utilized the region tool, and there's not that much information out there about it, but what I've heard means that you could effectively single off regions. Now, in regards to this, there isn't an updated, well, I clicked on there now, there isn't currently updated manual for 1.1.3. Hopefully it comes out soon, because I would really want to know what the region tool is, but I'm guessing for the purposes of maps like I've got at the moment, you could say single off one region of the map, and then you could go say another one, and then we'll go say purple. And we'll get rid of that a second, but then we can go the purple region per se encompasses this area, and then you've got, like, there you go, you've got two individual different regions of the map now, where you've got this initial region where it could be your main starting aerial city, and then you've got a different region which encompasses another country or another kingdom area, etc. And then in the north of this map, then around, say by here, going all the way up to, very quickly done, you've got this other region then, which is completely unknown, say for whatever region you want to do. Moving on, because that's probably a very brief and very wrong explanation of what regions do. You've got the label tool. Very simple. You've got a label. This is my city. Now this is my town. One of the great things about Wonderdraft as well is the fact that you have curvature in your title. So if you want to say, like, move it down by here, you can then change the font size, say 14, this is my town, and then this is my city by here. You just ignore the fact I created a different label, move this down here, apply a positive curvature to make it go like this, and then you go. And then we can even get I've got some presets, we can even go region, and then we can go, can reset the curvature for a brief second, and we can then go map of tutorial, and then we get to this one because Reese keeps clicking. So there you go, your map of tutorial. Then if you've got it in the wrong place, you could simply move it back here as an example, just to help out. Obviously, different things mean you can't do different movements. This is then a tool that you can do to apply legend if you really want to, just makes the map look a bit nicer. You can then have access to the final section, which is the overlay, which does allow you to do certain things like grid placements. You can put hexadecimals, you can put squares, you can put pointed hexes. You can then reduce the size down to what you really wanted to, which means that if you were playing on certain systems that require you to do movement by bases, like the Forbidden Lands system, where you have to move by hexes, you can then do it on a basis that you can attach the correct measurements, as we got by here, to give the hexes the correct sort of distance measurements, and to make sure that you move in the correct fashion in order to basically move correctly with the system itself. But however, I tend to do a lot of maps without that, because unfortunately I do just generally go on basis. You can then just simply edit the segment distance, which is default set to miles. You can then just technically use that. So technically the distance between these 2 points there is 298 miles, which you can see roughly by here, because then it'll give you an actual measurement between places, which you can then tag off and make a lovely nice line if you want to do it or follow your party's travels. Certainly quite easy to do with this tool itself. Now, just to finish off quite quickly, we do have the additionals thing called assets. Now, I've got I've got a fair amount of assets in here. Now, assets are additional community made items which you can actively put into the game. Now, I'm going to shout out to a app called Mythkeeper, my apologies, which I will put a link in the description below, alongside the cartography website, which encompasses all these free assets that a lot of them are allowed to use, even for commercial uses under Creative Commons, but a lot of them are obviously just for personal use only. Now, additional assets, for instance, in this game, would allow you to have a lot more variety in the game. For instance, if I were to take the modular floating worlds icon, we can now technically have something like this. If you can scooch it slightly together, we'll leave it like that for now. Reese is going to do a very bad thing, and then have some shadow underneath it, and then you could make a modular or created floating island however you wish to. This is just one of the examples that I've got for modules. There's all these additional ones going from about Arabia color downwards, all custom asset packs. So for instance, tree block, which is a very nice one, you'll be able to just simply make very quick, easy forests in effect. So as you can clearly see now, with a minor issue on that one, which I will just quickly fix because I am a bit of a snob on that basis. That'll realistically do for if you were trying to make a very quick tree line or quick forest. You've now therefore got a very quick forest there. It's not the best, but obviously on a distance it looks quite nice and looks quite uniform in comparison to something like this, wherein if you wanted a different type of forest. And with that, I believe that is all I'd really need to show you. I mean, that's a created map, which you can see has been created within only a short space of time. Obviously, if I wanted to put more effort into this map, I could realistically do so in a very short span of time. And if you were looking to create just a basic map for a region or area, you would probably get one done if you had the dedication within an hour or so without any real effort. And I personally, as a DM, think it's a really good thing that this map creation tool has been made, because it allows people like myself who aren't the best into technology or not video editing, well, probably video editing as well, but more along the lines of image manipulation, to create a map in a very short space of time, which does seem very fitting and almost very good quality as well. So that is why, personally, if you were come here to hear my ramble and my review, I would personally recommend Wonderdraft to any aspiring DM or any roleplay game creator who just simply wants to have fun with this. Whilst it is an initial purchase of around $29 USD, which equates to around £23 sterling, it is certainly worth the additional sort of cost initially to pay for something that you get to keep and will be updated alongside as it is updated, rather than purchase something or go on a subscription-based service which will then basically charge you monthly. You may forget about it. Eventually, 4 months down the line, you spent £16, for instance, you haven't really used it, and if you forget about it, it can build up. But over time, it does make it cheaper. Maybe they'll include more features, because I would like an updated aspect to the sort of territory tool, which allow you to do in-depth maps. While there is a way to do that technically by doing create detail map and then you zoom on that area specifically, obviously maybe there'll become more functionality with the territory tool in future. Now, that's what basically was on my mind today, so thank you for listening and watching. If you do like the video, please like, share and subscribe, as the usual YouTube shell goes. And my name is Risky Business for your reference. I hope you have a lovely day and stay tuned for more content. Take care.